Former Pittsburgh Steelers running back Naji Harris, in his first interview done with the Los Angeles Chargers, drops a truth bomb, exposing the Pittsburgh Steelers facility and coaching staff for underutilizing their players. But first, before I get more into his quotes, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also like this video. Now, let's get right back into it. So, Naji Harris is officially gone. He left the Pittsburgh Steelers in free agency for the Los Angeles Chargers on a one-year contract around $5.25 million guaranteed money, but also up to $9 million in incentives. He left the Pittsburgh Steelers, but in reality, the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't even want him back. And Naji Harris exposed that in his first press conference with the Chargers. He also exposed a lot of other things, basically the facility being trash at the Steelers and much better with the Chargers, but also the coaching staff underutilizing him specifically in the Steelers offense. So let's get into the quotes that Naji Harris drops in his first press conference with the Chargers, because there's a lot to unpack here. So let's get right into it. So we're going to start off with Naji Harris saying that the Steelers offense didn't showcase his versatility. Here's a quote. "I'm a versatile back. It's just a certain offense, I guess. I was just used a certain way, but I'm really good in the receiving game too. I feel like I guess it doesn't go noticed enough. Just all around back, man. That's how I see myself." End quote. Now let's get into Naji Harris complimenting the Chargers facility, but taking shots at the Steelers while he's doing it. Here's the quote. "It's a great weight room. First of all, even the facility, it's all great things, man. A lot of things that they provide here that you can take advantage of. I was just telling them, man, it's not like this everywhere. This is a special thing right here. It reminds me of college Alabama. All the resources that they have, I was just telling him, yo, have a great thing going on right now because it's not like this everywhere." End quote. So, now, before I get into the third and final quote of Naji Harris basically exposing the Steelers didn't want him back, let me just unpack the couple of things that Naji Harris said in his first two quotes. And let's start off with the first one. Naji Harris saying that the Pittsburgh Steelers underutilized him. Well, did they underutilize Naji Harris? Well, first of all, you have to think, they did have Jaylen Warren. And the reason why Naji Harris wasn't on the field in certain situations, because Jaylen Warren was a really good running back and did a lot of good things. And at some points in the season, a better running back than Naji Harris, a more explosive back, a better pass-catching back. So you have to utilize Jaylen Warren and Naji Harris. And that's what they did. So in reality, how are you going to play Naji Harris and give him more opportunities to be versatile if Jaylen Warren is better at being versatile? It just doesn't make sense. But looking at Naji Harris, does he have a point? Is Naji Harris versatile? Well, looking at him and how he was used, Naji Harris in his rookie season, he ran for exactly 1,200 yards and was heavily involved with 74 receptions. And he was second on the team as a Steeler rookie with receptions. So, you look at him and he was versatile that first season that he was in the league. But in reality, his play went downhill from there. He wasn't as explosive, he wasn't as good. And his receiving over the last 3 seasons of his tenure with the Steelers, he caught 106 passes and only 29 in 2023, despite appearing in all 17 games. So, looking at how he was logged in a stint with the Steelers in terms of snaps on third down, looking at his snaps in 2021, his rookie year, he got 215 snaps on third down. 2022, he got 110 snaps. 2023, 54 snaps. And 2024, 55 snaps. So obviously, his numbers went down as a receiving threat and a third down running back with the Pittsburgh Steelers over his tenure, and his highest being his rookie season and his lowest being basically the last 2 years, being 54, 55. So, of course, he could look at those numbers and say, I was underutilized. But in reality, like I said, Jaylen Warren emerged as a better pass-catching back, a more explosive back. And to be honest, when Naji Harris caught the ball and he had all that open space, you would have to wonder if he's even going to get any yards because of how slow he was in making a decision to cut upfield. He's the type of back who's going to scan the field first, and in reality, when you should pick up 10 yards, he's only going to pick up maybe 2 yards or maybe even negative yards just based off his decision making. But when Jaylen Warren sees the field and he sees the hole, he's hitting it right away. And that's why Naji Harris feels like he was underutilized, because they took him out of the third down rotation. But in reality, it was his fault why he was taken out. Now, let's move over and unpack the second thing he addressed, the facility. He's 100% correct about this. I'm not going to deny that. I denied the first one, but the second quote, in terms of the facility, can't deny that. The Steelers' team facility was ranked trash among a survey done this past month by the NFLPA on just how the Steelers organization is ran in general. There's a whole survey for every single team, and the Steelers were ranked like 30th out of the 32 teams for their whole entire organization. So when looking at how their facility was ranked by their players who took part in the survey, their facility was ranked a C-, which was 26th out of 32 teams. The locker room was a D, 27th out of 32. Weight room, C+, 28th out of 32. So the Steelers' facility is not good. And every player, and even Naji Harris, know this. And Naji Harris, him basically saying that the Chargers facility is like the Alabama facility, you have to think, why is the Pittsburgh Steelers facility worse than a college team? It just doesn't make sense. So the Pittsburgh Steelers need some upgrades there, and Naji Harris is 100% correct, and good thing he called us out, because it's about time someone did, and it's in the open now. So the Pittsburgh Steelers need upgrades, and the facility is one of them. So Naji Harris, he exposes that. Now, let's move over to the last and final thing. Naji Harris exposing that he knew that the Pittsburgh Steelers did not want him back at all. Here's his quote. Me and Coach T were pretty close in certain ways, so I knew what was coming. I didn't plan on doing it. It wasn't something that was in the plan or something, but it's a business. I just knew that it would be my last year. Maybe like a couple games, maybe like halfway through the end of the season, I kind of knew that. End quote. So, when looking at Naji Harris, it was kind of obvious. The Pittsburgh Steelers declined his 5th-year option, which was worth basically the same amount of money that he just got in free agency in terms of incentives, around $9 million. So the Pittsburgh Steelers declined that, and when they declined it, they basically knew that, hey, you're gone. You're going out, and you're signing with a different team, and we're not having you back. And Naji Harris basically knew that as well, and basically knew how he was being utilized, that they are making a push for Jaylen Warren to take over. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, Naji Harris, and the fans knew that Naji Harris was basically gone, and he says that in his press conference. And it makes complete sense, because the Pittsburgh Steelers aren't going to sign Naji Harris to a contract in which they could have just accepted his 5th-year option for. It just doesn't make sense. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, they just paid Jaylen Warren this tenure, and they went and signed Kenneth Gainwell to a shorter contract, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are probably going to be looking to draft a running back. It seems as though they're heading towards the draft and maybe picking another veteran in free agency, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are going a different route in running back situation, and everyone knew that, including Naji Harris. And it's a good thing that at least Naji Harris knew that, and he is able to make a decision on where he wanted to go and basically look into his future before free agency hit. He was drafted in the 1st round by the Steelers, but obviously that was not the right decision, as just 4 years later, he's now off of the team. At the time, we all knew the Pittsburgh Steelers loved Naji Harris, that he was going to be the pick in the 1st round 100% if he dropped to the Steelers in the draft. And he did drop to the Steelers, and he was the selection. But at the end of the day, drafting a running back in the 1st round is always a tricky situation. The Pittsburgh Steelers took that risk, but only 4 years later, it just didn't work out. In terms of what he did during those 4 years, putting up over 1,000 yards in each of those seasons, yes, it was amazing. He's the only running back to do it. But in terms of the long run, in drafting someone in the 1st round, you want to keep that guy on the team for the long term, but that just doesn't happen here, and it's basically like a busted pick in the 1st round, because now he's gone. Anyway, that's the end of this video. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below about Naji Harris basically exposing some truths about the Pittsburgh Steelers in terms of coaching staff underutilizing him. How do you feel about that? Do you think he was underutilized in terms of his versatility? Do you think he should have been used more? And how do you feel about him exposing the facility being trash and him exposing that he basically knew his time with the Steelers was over a couple games into the season or like halfway through the season? Did you want to see him go? Did you want the Steelers to re-sign him? And how do you think Jaylen Warren will do now with a bigger role? Also, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis reports, everything surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers free agency, including rumors. I'm covering it. So stay tuned for everything. And until the next video, hopefully later on today if the Steelers make another move in free agency. But until the next video, I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.